Droplets of cold sweat begin to run down my back. There's no clear path any longer. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Pony, and today we're going right back into Lake of Voices. So without further ado, let's hop in. Alright, let's go.
Come on!
Come on, Margaret. Margaret shouts, cuts straight through my thoughts. Girl was smart. She said, hold up, let me grab a stick, make a torch, let's go. She's advancing towards me, holding onto a heavy stick with the end set on fire as a makeshift torch. The sight is striking.
It won't last long! We need to get through now!
She needs not say any more. The three of us push our way forward as we advance. Margaret relays her plan.
We'll toss the branch when we get close. The smoke spewing off this thing is making it even harder to see than usual. So you tell me when it's time, Kika.
I can do that.
The shore approaches closer and closer, and every single one of the Nixie turn their attention towards our small group. Now. Alright, not the button I want. After alerting Margaret, she gives her all to hurl the flame ahead of us while avoiding setting the bridge itself on fire. The monsters flee from the torch. A path is clear. We waste not a moment sprinting towards the bridges. With one near my side, I amble back into the maze. We don't stop until there is a considerable distance between us and the shore. It is there that we encounter the guide. Upon seeing his figure, I hide the sigh of relief we haven't been left behind. Our arrival doesn't change the guide's empty expression. He does not say or do anything, instead allowing us all to catch our breaths. Lou looks as though his legs might fall out from underneath him.
Normally, I wouldn't ever say anyone on these bridges are lucky. But we are.
Margaret chimed in, equally amazed and exhausted.
I don't know how we managed to do nothing wrong. That feels far more fitting for this journey.
We treasure the moment of triumph for a little more before the guide ends his silence.
We need to start walking. We've already lost much time as it is.
I quickly straighten myself out and mull over our current situation. We start to consider how we are going to travel, now that we only have 2 lanterns.
Well, the three of us could walk together. If there's one person close by, I can't imagine it would make much of a difference having another. Furthermore, I believe we've all taken enough risks for each other already for this to not be a problem.
Margaret, her consideration touches me. I smile gratefully at her.
I think it would be fine if we all stayed together.
Okay, we'll do that then. Thank you.
Other than having a bit of a crowded crowd as opposed to an entirely straight line, our journey moves ahead as it did the night before. The silent night creeps along as we carefully move through the thick fog, making certain not to bump into one another. Then my lantern blinks. It fizzles out. The three of us gasp simultaneously as I hold my breath, like time will stop with my breathing. To my great relief, the light flutters back on. They had anxiously been holding in, releases as a sigh.
What's going on?
The guide has halted, but does not bother to turn around as he asks the question.
It was nothing.
I watch as he shifts his head back to look at us. He starts to give his probing and deeply unnerving. He doesn't believe me. I return his gaze, my expression blank, remain locked in this moment, and feel his patience with me slipping away. He chooses not to spend any longer waiting for an answer that will not come. The guide faces his back to us once more. He acts without word, but I know he isn't satisfied. Our small group shares anxiety-ridden looks as the guide moves ahead. I look down at my lantern. The crack seems larger than ever. I feel as though I am cracked with it. There is nothing I could do to fix it. Should I fix it? Should it go out for good?
We need to keep going. We shouldn't speak of this.
I can feel that they're apprehensive over the situation. They're undoubtedly curious as to how it happened in the first place. However, this is not the time. I do not want to draw attention to this for fear of the guide catching on. The chattering of the Nixie bubble up out of the darkness, and I gulp harshly. The thought crosses my mind that they too have noticed what just transpired. We walk for quite a bit longer. The voices and whispering amongst each other has died down, but the squishing and clicking of prowlers has replaced them. It is difficult to trace the exact origin of the sound. All I know is that it is far too close for comfort. The guide stops abruptly, bringing us to an awkward halt Luckily, there are no impacts between the three of us.
Stay where you are.
My eyes are drawn to the guide as he makes a small movement, cautiously presenting his foot into the boards in front of him at different spots. Could something be wrong with the bridge itself? My theory is proven correct almost immediately.
The boards ahead are unstable. They may break when stepped on.
Is there another path?
This is our path. Move slowly and do not have two people on the same board at a time. I will cross first. When I find a stable section, I will inform you. Then you will follow my lead.
He doesn't allow us time to answer before darting forward. His steps are light, but beneath him the wood creaks loudly. Oh yeah, no, that wood is unstable.
Why are the bridges this way? They can be burned into ash and will still rise the next nightfall. And yet this spot is less stable than the rest. It is strange.
The unnatural black water has a great deal of magic within. That is the most reasonable source of the bridges. If this maze is formed without an intelligent creator, that would explain its treacherous nature.
Lou doesn't say anything on the topic, merely staring ahead. The guide breaks his cautious steps, testing the security of the
Where
bridge.
I am now is solid. You only need to reach this position.
We'll be right there.
I face the others.
To ensure that there is enough light for all of us, I will go second. We need to keep enough distance between each other to not break the boards.
Lou elects to lead and starts going forward, inching gingerly across the trembling boards. After there is some distance, I begin to follow, focused on keeping my movement steady. Margaret is the last to leave. The three of us carefully navigate the creaking, soggy wood. We attempt to keep to the guide's path in hopes that the boards will hold. I feel my foot lay heavy on the board. It bends hair-raisingly underneath me. I wince as I slowly step off of it. I wonder if we should be crawling on all fours to spread out our weight, or a wider space, but that may make us vulnerable to those creatures. My focus is broken when I hear a shout from ahead. Lou's foot has snapped through the bridge. Despite every cell in me screaming to help, I force myself to not make any sudden movements. Lou lifts his foot up from the cups of the water and places it back onto the board in front of him. Thank goodness. Thank goodness this entire section would have collapsed. Margaret looks at us, clearly
A
concerned.
part of the board broke. Everyone is fine, however. You should avoid that section completely.
All right.
We're still in much danger as we stand here. I encourage him to begin moving once more. I make sure to skip over the broken board myself when I come to it. As I pass by the hole, I catch a bit of movement in the water. When I look closely, there's nothing there. After a few more agonizing minutes, everyone reaches the other side of that trap. Each of us three mutter various expressions of relief. There isn't a word from our guide. We continue our journey across the bridge, sharing small, sporadic bits of conversation, until we plunged into darkness. I immediately come to a screeching halt that almost makes the two near me lose their footing. Look down at my lantern. It is as dark as the water. The three of us stare at it, silently pleading. A few moments pass, and yet the lantern remains cold and lifeless. In desperation, I jiggle the lantern, hoping that somehow it will click and the light will return. Nothing happens. I feel the others' nerves climb. With every second, they shift uncomfortably as they watch me pathetically attempt to relight it. We are quiet, still hoping that the guide won't notice. I cease shaking and tapping the sides of the cracked glass. When that doesn't yield any results, of the lantern itself and look over the internal workings. I cannot reach inside, despite its appearance. The metal has retained the heat from before. It would be burned. I would be burned. As the darkness stretches on, I frantically try to figure out what the problem is from sight alone, to no avail.
Your light is gone.
The indifferent tone of the speaker is unmistakable. No, not yet. I look up from my work to see that the guide is approaching us. I'm at a loss for words. He comes near the edges of his light, sheltering us like a blanket.
Relighted.
My hands begin to tremble. I know it won't do anything, but I do as demanded and hope for a miracle. I attempt to get the inner core to catch, but the lantern refuses to comply. No matter what I do, the guide's eyes widen as The full scope of the situation dawns on him. My two companions start nervously fidgeting and whispering about possible solutions, but hear each one getting shot down.
What are we going to do now?
Margaret's voice comes out shaky. I look at the guide forlornly. We're completely at his mercy now, if he has any to spare at all. He coldly surveys the three of us. After silently deliberating, he narrows his eyes until they're stilts in his face.
I will allow one of you to remain in my light.
One?
Why?
I can barely drag the word out of my mouth as I look at him incredulously.
Someone who wants to live will share their light with no one. I will not share my light with 3.
He almost snarls at us. Margaret is completely frozen, her mind racing to process everything.
Then, what about 2? Could you please keep 2 of us safe?
The guide sharply shakes his head.
I will allow 1 and no more. 2 will be left behind.
Finality rings out in his words.
Lingering at a distance far behind my light will leave you vulnerable. The wisest option is to continuously move, even if it means going another way.
Beside me, Margaret begins to whisper something to herself. I can't make out what it is. Lou's eyes narrow as he observes the situation. A torrent of thought rips through my mind as I try to find some other way.
Kika,
My body stiffens. The guide has never referred to me by name this way. It's jarring enough to gain my attention, even amidst the panic rising.
you are the most likely to survive. The offer is for you.
My eyes widen even further. No, I don't want that. I can't be the only one who... No. I turn my eyes to my companions. Both of them gaze back at me, dejected. There's this horrifying resignation on their eyes. This cannot be happening. They shouldn't be going, not me. They should be the ones who remain safe.
My lantern broke because I foolishly dropped it. And I've already lost my glasses, so...
Lou continues to only passively watch with an unexplainable expression. I shake my head, refusing to watch them give up so easily. I turn to the guide's face one last time, begging him mentally. He is empty and unflinching.
It needs to be done. This is what it means to cross Sinlos.
The heavy words sink into me as I stare towards the void that eagerly waits for 2 of us. I won't go. The guide sucks in a breath, clearly disappointed.
Being without light is dangerous, even if you are close to another. The one who goes with me has no guarantee of making it across. You risk this entire journey being for naught. The correct decisions need to be made. Everyone should be aware of that.
His words cut deep. I have no logical reason to object to going if my only solution is choosing another for the same position. I thought I would be ready for this when it presented itself. I believe I've had the strength. That was the only what I wanted to believe in. Nothing that I have said, anything despite plenty of opportunity. The guide continues.
I will not choose someone else, and neither will they. Can you do so? Who deserves to be saved, and who lost in your mind?
A pit forms in my stomach as the responsibility of this unspeakable choice falls to my shoulders.
Stop this! It isn't helping!
I'm not the one who can stop it now.
I try to form a coherent sentence. Whenever I try to wrench them out, the words vanish from my tongue. Having lost his patience, the guide points a finger at Lou, almost accusingly.
I've noticed the attention you've given him. Is that what this is about? Do you want to sacrifice your position to give him a hope of safety? Or perhaps you would prefer the both of you being left so you remain together? Or does your relationship not matter after all, and you don't care who gets the chance as long as you avoid a sense of guilt?
I look over at Margaret and Lou, hot tears flowing from my eyes. Take Lou.
You have to take the other one, guide.
He speaks with no hesitation, and everyone stares at him. Surprisingly, the attention doesn't seem to bother Lou this time. He seems completely calm.
Kika doesn't want to go, and I don't need you.
The guide audibly gasps at Lou's declaration. He doesn't speak either, not from his usual indifference, because he's completely at a loss for words. Lou shrugs the reaction off, continuing with a derisive tone.
You have your needed answer. There's only one person you can take. I hope that you'll be able to prove your keep by getting at least someone across.
The guide's face contorts awkwardly. However, I don't get the impression of anger. Instead, it's almost as though Lu's words have struck a sensitive spot. Without another word, he turns around and begins to walk down the bridge.
You have to go. He will take you.
I look over to see Lu encouraging Margaret to leave. Lu is nearly ready to start pushing her towards the guide.
Why would you do that?
She peers at us, vexed.
Because it felt right.
I chimed in and Lu smiles approvingly. Margaret's eyes fill with tears as she scrunches her nose up.
Well, you're wrong. I hope you realize.
I shake my head.
The decision has been made. You need to go. We will find our own way.
Margaret wipes the tears from her eyes. She fixates on me penetratingly, and I don't know that she doesn't truly believe me. I mirror her look with equal gravity.
Be safe, please. There isn't time left.
Renewed tears pour down Margaret's face, dripping in a subtle rhythm onto already damp wood. She opens her mouth and begins to say something, however it catches in her throat. She doesn't want to say goodbye. I don't either. She looks down and her voice drops to a whisper.
Thank you both for everything.
Of course. She then turns around trying to catch up with the guide. It was almost unbearable seeing her so hurt. She didn't want to sacrifice someone else for her own safety, as much as I didn't. However, I still hold on to my decision. Yet I cannot help but wonder what Lu was thinking. By now, that feeling has become familiar to me. Even so, this seems unexpected. We both stand alone, consumed by the creeping darkness. I stare quietly at Lu for a good chunk of time. He laughs nervously under my gaze, and his eyes dart away.
Please don't look at me that way. I meant what I said. Besides, you promised to let me do what I needed to do. That was it, I'm sure.
I watch him for a second longer before releasing a pent-up sigh. I can't say he's wrong. Lu is stronger than most, I'll give him credit for. Lu nonchalantly stretches his arms out, elbows popping with the motion.
We probably should start running now.
I look down at my fists tightening in contemplation. I can't let concern slow us down. I need to get him to the other side. I steel my determination. Two of us dash forward, taking another branch path out of the bridges. We continue to race across Sinlos, bridge after bridge. Many glossy arms reach up from the lake and over the sides, the bridges towards our ankles. Luckily, we're able to pass by each one before they can grab a hold. There are moments here and there where Lu seems like he's going to stumble and fall. However, he manages to keep himself upright each time and continue forward. Our confidence is shattered as we turn down another path and are forced to come to a halt in the distance as we see a mass of slowly moving figures creeping our way, and I narrow my eyes.
Prowlers.
I turn behind me, only to see more Nixie as they begin to rise up from the waters. They stretch their crooked limbs across the boards. Droplets of cold sweat begin to run down my back. There's no clear path any longer. Even if we lit a match to set a side of the bridge on fire, it's possible that not all of them will leave, and then we'd be trapped by both flames and monsters. It would also put others at risk if the flames spread to them. I slowly slide my hand down my side and reach for the hilt of my sword. I leave behind the broken lantern that won't do anything for us now.
Stay close. I can at least clear the way we came so we can keep going.
No.
Lu! I blink in bemusement at the finality of his words. He rarely has the nerve to be so bold.
Swinging your sword will only give them another option to pull you down with. I've heard stories. Please listen, Kika. Run away with me. We can make it.
I look over at the monsters who are now clambering over the bridge toward us faster, and then back at Lu, who locks eyes with me without whisper of doubt. It is clear he won't let me throw myself at a threat.
All right. Since you're better informed on how to handle this, then, I will follow your lead.
Relief washes over Lu's face before it hardens again with determination.
We should go.
I nod and turn towards the path ahead, crawling with monsters. We sprint down the bridge together into the fray of contorting claws. I duck below a Nick's grasping hand and jump over another reaching pair at the base of the bridge. I hear a small noise from Lou. With trepidation, but still running, top speed, I whip back to look at him. Lou's fine. He simply shakes his head and motions for me to continue. Don't tell me this man almost tripped and fell into it. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, remember to hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the videos I'm making. Remember to subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back here to see what's next. I won't take up any more of your time. Have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.